Welcome back to the Real Talk with Michelle podcast. This is episode number 62, Real Talk with Whitney of The Real Turn On Is You. Whitney, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
I am too. I'm so glad to have you on. Whitney, say hello to the listeners and just tell them a little bit about yourself.
So, Michelle and I have been friends for like 10 years, I think. And after doing all kinds of different things, I went to school for social work and really about a year ago discovered my desire to help other people just love themselves, to prioritize their pleasure, to figure out their intimacy, and started going to school. It's not therapy, it's coaching, which is much more time sensitive. We figure out what your goal is and we get to it right away. So it's usually 3 to 5 sessions. I help a lot of women. I also help men, sometimes couples. But it's really about finding yourself, loving yourself first, and working with the individual because you got to do that before we ever get into any of the other levels.
Yes. I
Kind of
was
discovered it over the last year after quarantine, and I'm just so excited to be able to use, my social work background and actually help people in a much needed area.
Exactly. So I do want to stop you there before you go too far into it. You This what I was going to ask you the same thing. You recently like had a little career switch, and you got into the embodiment, pleasure, and intimacy coaching arena. Talk about what called you to this work.
So I was actually watching Sex, Love, and Goop on Netflix, and there was a couple on there, and the actual therapist they were working with, helped this woman realize that she wasn't broken. And she was like, "You mean I'm not broken? There's nothing wrong with me for having these desires or kinks or whatever." And I just started weeping, and I was like, "Oh my God, she's not broken, and none of us are broken because of
Right.
our desires." And I'm like weeping on the couch, and the man in the relationship actually ends up having an energetic orgasm without ever being touched. And it was, I mean, he's weeping, I'm weeping. It's like the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And I was like, this is what I have to do. And there was actually another therapist helping another couple, and she's like, women just come to me to really learn how to orgasm. And I was like, oh my God, that's a job. I was like, that is, I could help people with that. And I jumped off the couch, and my husband's like, what is wrong with you? But I just
Yeah.
knew in that moment. I think I signed up for school like a week later, after researching a few different ones. And I just knew, like, if that is something that I can help people with, I want to do it because it's so, so important.
Yes. What did you have to do as far as certification or classes to prepare yourself for this type of coaching?
Yeah, so I am still in school right now. I'll probably be done hopefully by this fall. But the whole idea is that you don't actually have to get certified to be a coach, but it's so important. And I learned so, so much from my school. And it does help to just be certified at the end of the day, makes people feel more comfortable, and you're dealing with people's very intimate personal lives. So I go to school, and it's a lot of work, but it's really, really worth it because every time a client and I'm like, this applies to you, and this is so, so meaningful. So yeah, I go to school, and people, they can or they can't, but I think it's definitely worth it too. I go to Modern Sex Therapy Institute, and I
Okay.
think it's definitely worth it just to give you more confidence and education, because the main thing of this is that people just don't have the education most of the time. And being able to share that and pass that on is just so, so important.
I agree. I agree. This conversation is going really good. It's like it's flowing right into everything perfectly. You created the Real Turn on Instagram, and it really, really took off. Why do you think like it just kind of blew up a little bit?
It's kind of wild because I wasn't really expecting that. I've created social media for other businesses that I've worked with, and it's a struggle. You know how hard it is. I mean, you
Yes.
put so much work into it and you get like 2 likes, and you're like, I always admire you because you just keep going. You're consistent and you just keep doing it. And that's what, I've heard is that you have to be consistent and just keep giving it your all, no matter what the response is. And that's so important. So I try not to look at, that kind of thing and measure my success that way. But it did really take off, I think, because people want that honesty and that reality. And it's something that everybody's thinking about and going through, but nobody wants to talk about. So being able to joke about it and name it and put it out there, I think
Mhm.
people are really responsive to it because they also see maybe me or other women professional, but yet we still want to talk about things, about our bodies, about sex. So I think people just really resonated with that, like, oh, she's talking about this stuff, and we want to talk about it too. And I think there are other people doing it for sure, but especially in the South, it's not super common. So I mean, I have people from all over the world, but I think it really just took off because of that kind of multidimensional aspect of it, and just giving people something that they really want. I mean, everybody wants to talk about it. They're just afraid or, worried about the stigma. And yeah, so I think people are just excited to see something a little different and to, be free in a way that a lot of us haven't been free in the past.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Do you get the most response on that page from like men or women?
It's about 50-50, honestly. A lot of people, of course, think it's mostly men because of the sex appeal. And I do get a ton of men that aren't really interested in help. They just want to talk, but typically they do still have a lot of questions
Hmm.
and don't really want to admit it sometimes. But yeah, everybody's got questions, and I get both, but I get more women that are really interested in coaching and doing the work, and men will say they don't necessarily need coaching or want to do the work, but then ultimately they do have a lot of questions and do learn a lot, they tell me. So it's about half and half. So it's interesting.
Do you, when you field the questions, is that like part of your coaching work? Like, do you send them like, hey, to the site, you seem to have a lot of questions, or do you just answer questions in DM? Because I know that can get
Oh
us.
yeah. Yeah, no, I had to learn very quickly how to navigate that and set up those boundaries right off the bat. So a lot of people want to just talk for free, and I understand, but we can't do that. It's a business, and this is not a hobby. So especially men, a lot of men treat this as like a hobby for me, and they think I'm just there to have fun. And I have to let everybody know, like, I'm not looking for love. I'm not looking for sex. Like, I have all of those check marks, luckily, and I'm here to help people. So putting that out there is definitely important. And I do have a lot of automated responses. So if people are just asking, how do you help, or what does a session look like, that's automatic. And so that's helped a lot.
Good.
I have had to restrict a lot of people, block a lot of those boundaries, but I'm fine to answer, one question, a quick 1 or 2 questions, because I want to help people. And not everybody can afford a session
Hmm.
or is ready for that commitment, even though it's typically just 3 to 5 sessions. But I make sure to answer their question. But if it gets to be more than 1 or 2 questions, then I always direct them to book a session, come to a workshop, something that's going to be more productive, because I can't really help somebody just in my DMs anyways.
Exactly. So you did answer my question a little bit because I know sometimes it gets a little XXX on the
Yeah.
page with the jokes or like the memes, which are fine.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I was gonna say, like, does that bring out the trolls and how do you combat that?
Yeah, it definitely can attract all kinds of people, which I love. And my page is great because I have so many loyal supporters, and I feel like they're my people and they get it and they love to joke about the same kind of things.
Yes.
And a lot of them are already very sexually liberated, and so I connect with them. I appreciate them, but at the people that aren't there yet, that aren't comfortable yet, that aren't, able to joke about it. And so I have to always, be mindful too of who I'm marketing to, because I really want to get people out of their shell. And a lot of my followers are kind of already there, but some of them aren't. So it's a good mix, but I feel like Instagram is just, like I said, kind of my people, and they keep me going. But I also want to reach all the people that, are not there yet, because that's the whole point, is to get them on board and to help them feel comfortable with their bodies, their intimacy, their pleasure. So
Yeah.
it's fun. It's fun, but it can be wild.
I know it could probably get wild. I know how Instagram works, and I know it's like if you once people are tapped into something that they see, they're going to keep coming and they talk. But that is something that we want to occur on the page. We want conversations in the comments.
Hmm.
We want people to be engaged and to check your page, like what's going on the real turn on today. Um, in regards to your work, what are some of the issues that you see come up in regards to people and blocking their pleasure?
A lot of it is, first of all, knowing that they deserve it, especially women. Women, I find, don't feel that they deserve it or understand their own pleasure. And men, it's more so, they understand their pleasure, but they don't always know how to please a woman. And
Right.
so I love helping men with that. If they're there for, if they, um, I am all about that, and that's where I find myself helping men more. But women, it's like, you're
Say
worthy
that
of this,
part.
you deserve this. It's not about pleasing.
Sorry to interrupt. Say that part one more time. We had like a little bit of a technical thing. You were saying
Oh
like,
yeah, you're good. Yeah, so men are more looking to figure out how to please a woman. And if they're there for that, then I'm all about it. I want to help them with that. But women, it's more so just, we've always been kind of taught to be sweet, to be polite, to please others, to be the best. And I think that gets in the way of a lot of women's pleasure, and just not feeling worthy and that they deserve it and that they should be prioritized just as much as their partner. So that's really the big block. As also, overthinking is a huge one. Oftentimes with our bodies, we're overthinking how we're being perceived, and then we put on this performance pressure. And sadly, our sex education has been zero for most of us in America, and we have learned from porn, from friends, from all different sources that aren't exactly accurate, and they put a lot of pressure on us to be a certain way. Instagram, the media, society has all placed so much pressure on our performance and on our looks. And then we take that kind of into the bedroom, and forget that we deserve pleasure, even if it's solo pleasure, just on our own, if it is with a partner. And so oftentimes we think we know what our partner wants to see, and it's so wrong, because we don't even ask and we don't have that
right.
communication piece. And so it's like, a lot of times we think that they want a certain thing, or that they think negatively about something, about our bodies, and it's just not true at all. So I love kind of breaking down that misconception and being like, well, what's your partner even into? Like, what do they like? What do they not like? And you're probably wrong whenever
Like a
you try to
hundred
assume.
percent, because we can get in our own way, and I agree with you there. Where it's like if you're, and I've been there before, so like it was interesting to hear you bring it up, where you're just like in your head through the whole thing, and I found that like when I'm in my head, then my body's beautiful irrigation system is inhibited from working because I'm such like in my brain thinking like, is it gonna get wet enough? Is it gonna be like all of that is like taking away from it. So when I finally kind of learned how to just not think about it at all, like we've both entered into something that we have both agreed to do, so we can now relax and just like enjoy how it naturally happens. And I notice when I stop thinking like, is this person going to touch my stomach, or is my stomach too big, or whatever, just anything, it'll be different for each person. But once I kind of came out of that, it was so much more of like a pleasurable experience, like when I was just like letting things flow the way that they needed to. And then also, like you said, verbalizing with my partner, like what I like and like
Mhm.
where to kiss me or what to touch. And,
Yes.
you know, if you don't like your stomach being touched, you
Yes.
know that you can say that. And then the person will not do it again, you know? um,
Right. Absolutely. The communication is so key. In your body, loving your body first. That's why I work with the individual first before we ever get into discussing their intimacy. Because if you're not good with yourself, your intimacy with a partner is just not going to be as good as it could be, because you're getting caught up on things that really don't matter, and we think that they do. So you're so right. You have to be in your body. You have to love your body and accept it for yourself, and then that communication and being able to speak up and say, what you like, what you don't like. And we oftentimes don't even ask our partner, we just assume what they like and what they should like based on, the media. And oftentimes that's not even the
right.
needs and desires is so, so, so important. And I love, there's a lot of men speaking out right now about, stop trying to hide your stomach or stop trying to hide this. We already know what you look like. We're going to see you naked.
Yeah,
Like, we like you. And if we didn't like you, we would not be pursuing you, or we wouldn't be in a relationship with you. So when you start to kind of unpack those lies that we've told ourselves, you can really get to the fun part of being intimate with somebody else when you have that kind of trust that they do like me, they do think I'm beautiful, or we wouldn't be here right now. you know,
exactly. Like we're at the threshold
for me,
now.
like yeah, like I have a stomach, I have no booty, and you think, men want this big, beautiful booty, and like I wish I had that. And then, my man is like, "Oh, I love your little booty." He's like, "Your tight little booty." And like he says like positive things about it. And I'm like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yes." He's like, "It's perfect." And if you want to work on it, you can, but it's not a priority. It's not important. I love you, I love your body, natural, especially like boobs. We think they have to be like perky and all this stuff. And most men, I've never met a man that didn't like, natural boobs. And he's
I
like,
just
they're not
didn't like
supposed to
boobs,
be,
period.
yes. It's like we appreciate your body. Like I think we all honestly give men a bad rap and like think that they're so superficial and want all these things, that it's really just the media selling us a lie.
It
It's
is.
not men even creating these concepts in our head. It's media,
Yeah,
and it's to,
so
so that
stay
we don't
calm.
like ourselves. Yeah, they really are, like, not to downplay them, but they really don't care about a lot of the things that we think that they do, and we get caught up on it. And it's really a turn off to them,
Mhm.
when we get so caught up in it, because they want someone who does appreciate and love their own body. That's like the hottest thing to them, is when you have the confidence.
Yes.
I tell people all the time, they're like, why her? Why her? Why does he like her? Or, this or that. And I'm like, honestly, it's not even about what you wear, what you look like. It's how you wear it. It's how you feel about yourself. Like that light draws it. If you have that light and that confidence, it will attract everything and everybody. So you actually have to be careful and be
Right.
discerning, because once you have that inner light and that confidence, you'll have that glow and everybody's going to be drawn to it. So it's a good and a bad thing. It's a double-edged sword, but that's where it starts. I mean, if you want, somebody to notice you, or you want to be seen a certain way, the key is loving yourself. I mean, the people ask me like, what does the real turn on mean? Or they're like, oh, you're a real turn on. And I'm like, well, it's actually not about me. The real turn on is you. And my email is actually the real turn on is you at gmail.com, because it's you. If you aren't turned on by yourself, like I look in the mirror and I'm like, ooh, like you look good. Like, I mean, I look at my own pictures and I get turned on. And I mean, that's what it's about. I know you do too. Like, we're
Yeah.
very similar in that regard. It's like, that's what turns me on. It's not really looking at other people. It's looking at myself with those, gentle, loving eyes and being like, you look good, girl. And
Yeah.
that makes me feel good. And then that makes other people attracted to it.
So in your work, do you it's like some part of it first, like teaching self pleasure, because I know a lot of people who just
Mhm.
have never even given themselves an orgasm. So like I find it interesting that we would be looking to someone else too, and we don't even know how. Like, so do you
Yes,
advise people?
absolutely. Absolutely. I love helping people with that. I have a lot of men asking for help with that, and I am not an expert on how to self pleasure as far as a man goes. So I always redirect them to other resources. But
Mhm,
as far as, yeah, females, like it really starts with you. And if you're not familiar with your body, if you haven't looked at it and felt it and, you know, all of that, then you really don't, you're not reaching your full potential with a partner because you don't even know what you like. You don't know what feels good. And I would love to do more of that, honestly. I would love to help more women access pleasure by themselves
mhm.
because then your chances of reaching really great orgasms with a partner are so much higher once you're comfortable with your own body for sure.
I can agree with that. I definitely tapped into that like a few years ago. Like, that they teach us to get like
Mhm.
these gigantic toys that like don't even, I mean, maybe for some people
Mhm.
they make sense. Let me say that. We're all different because
Right.
in the
Right.
beginning when things were being
Hmm.
made, it was just these big things. I'm like, I've never even had sex
Made
with
by
a
men.
partner whose penis looks like this. So I wasn't finding a
Right.
picture of
Right.
that. And one day I just got one of those little kind of bullety things, and whoa, like
Mhm.
it was like,
Yep.
wow, we have
Game
arrived.
changer.
Like,
Yes, next level. Yeah, because I mean, you can get pleasure, from penetration, but that's not your main pleasure is, clitoral. So, a lot of toy companies have realized like it's not about that. And I mean, a lot of toys, like my favorite does both, which is great. And yeah, you have to really figure out like what feels good to you. But yeah, it's not once you realize too, once you figure it out, yeah, it's definitely a game changer,
all
and
I need is
you
five
can
minutes. Be
then
right
introduce it.
back.
Yeah, exactly, and it doesn't take long, and you can introduce that, to your partner in a loving way, and have fun together, which a lot of people don't do. I'm surprised so many people don't feel comfortable, whether it's the woman or the man, or there's two women or two men, but there's definitely toys that can be really fun together and make things so much better. And adults, we don't get recess, right? So like to me, like sex is our recess. It's our time to recharge and have joy and have the most fun possible. Life is short. We don't know how long we've got. And I say, like, live it up. Don't be ashamed of your body. Don't be ashamed of wanting to, experience ultimate pleasure. So however we can get you there, whether it's with toys or without toys, even if it's just touching yourself or your partner, like, why not? Like, if it's not hurting anybody, I always say, like, go
You
for
gotta
it.
take
Like,
the shame out of that. There's no
yes.
shame in it whatsoever.
Right. It's so much better for your mental health, for your physical health. Like, I understand there's a lot of asexual, ace people. Hey, if you're happy and you don't want it, that's fine. But
Yeah.
for most of us, it's so much better when you have that release and you have that, prioritizing yourself, just giving yourself, even if it's only a few times a week or whatever it may be, just to honestly recharge. It gives you so much, like especially for women, afterwards we have more energy and more motivation. Like men are a little bit different, it actually takes from them
I
and they're not as
know.
energized, which is sad. I'm always sad for them, but for us it gives us energy. It's de-stressing and we need that. Our lives like now are so stressful, so anything we can do to decrease that, like we need to be doing it, whether it's exercise or self pleasure or sex with
Hmm.
a partner. We need to be doing those things because joy is so necessary and stress is just so, it's so life sucking and it can really truly kill us. And I don't want that for the world. It's funny, I had a teacher, he said, what you're doing helping people with their intimacy, with their pleasure, with their bodies, it can have positive effects for generations to come. you
Yeah.
can be you can be stopping problems, mental health problems, abuse, depression. Like, this work is so, so important, and we don't even realize it because it's so shameful to talk about. So once we talk about it and we realize our bodies are important, our pleasure is important, I think honestly we can change the world.
We can. What's your favorite part about the coaching that you do?
Throughs for people and hearing their feedback after. Like, I have one client in Chicago, and she's so cool, and she's just like, Whitney, she's like, this is just everything for me. She's like, it's like talking to a friend. She goes to therapy as well. She's like, but this is different. She's like, this is really real. And just hearing the benefits that it's had on her life is just so rewarding for me. Like, or when people just message me and they're like, oh my gosh, like you taught me something, or, I never thought about it like that. And just seeing people like love themselves is just like so, so rewarding. We had a workshop last month and there was like 10 women, and they all just opened up so beautifully. And like, even hearing how meaningful it was to them afterwards, I was like, you don't have any idea, like when you're doing it. I know you do coaching too, so like
Yeah.
when you're in it you don't always realize it, and then afterwards it's like seeing it affect people the way it does, and seeing just kind of like this pressure taken off of them and seeing that liberation process start, it's just like phenomenal to witness. And it's honestly an honor that people like let you into their intimate lives, because I think this is like super sacred. And it's just honestly really, really powerful, and it keeps me going. It keeps me wanting to work the 12 hours and stay up all night studying or whatever I've got to do, because it is so powerful.
And that was part of my next question too. How is the work transformative? And do you think you're walking in your purpose by doing this work?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, when and I know that and you get it. And it's like other people might not get it. And you kind of have to not listen to that and not let it into your head, because when you're walking in your purpose, like nothing else matters. No one else's opinions matter. Like, and you'll do whatever you've got to do to make it happen. I know you do the same thing, and
Yeah.
I'm willing to do whatever kind of jobs I need to do. I know a guy that did this a while ago, and he was a coach, and he would do Uber Eats and like DoorDash just to like get his coaching business going. And that was so inspiring to me, because I'm like, you know what, I will do whatever it takes, because I know I'm meant to help people in this way.
Hmm.
And there will be people that don't support, that don't get it.
Yep.
And when and you're doing the right thing, like it really doesn't matter to you. And you're like,
Yeah.
I know I'm meant to do this. And things do fall into place, and opportunities pop up, and things just kind of take off when they're meant to, when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. How does your spirituality help you balance your mental health, your self care, and your wellness practices?
Oh, that's a great question. A lot of times, we get caught up in helping other people and we stop taking care of ourselves. And it doesn't work that way. Like, you can't give to the world, like, if you don't have anything to give. And
Exactly.
so for me, walking is a huge part of like my meditation process, and being alone. I have two kids and I don't get a lot of alone time. And so for me, it's really being able to recenter, and I try to walk about 5 miles each time and just really get into my body, and kind of let all the chaos of the world kind of flow by. And that recharges me so well. Like, if I don't get my steps in, then I am just so grumpy. I'm not
Yeah.
centered. I can't think. I have brain fog. And so just taking care of my body and focusing on, the health aspect, not really like what it looks like or the health piece, but or like the weight piece. It's like
Hmm.
just really centering myself. It helps my mental health so, so much. And then I'm able to like give more to other people. I also, like, I definitely believe in a higher power. I believe that there is a God. I don't claim to know a specific religion or what works for everybody, but
Mhm.
I think everybody should have something that they go to, something that grounds them and gives them light and hope, whatever that is, as long as it's positive and not a cult. Because I've been learning a lot about cults lately. um,
Lord.
but I'm like, as long as it's digging more into you and celebrating you, then it's a good thing. And if it's based in love, then it's a good thing. So it's like, as long as you're loving and you're learning more about yourself, then it's a good thing. But I think everybody needs something
Yeah,
that
something
helps them
to
through
believe.
life, because this life is tough, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, this life is definitely tough.
it definitely
Hmm.
is. So as you know, I am a certified life coach specializing in happiness, fulfillment, and purpose. Tell me what happiness means to you and something you're grateful for today.
Absolutely. Happiness to me is like balance. Like when everything it feels balanced to me, like I have joy, I have happiness. Like, even when things are rough, like if you know yourself and you are walking in your purpose, then that's enough. I feel like a lot of times, no matter what's going on around you, you're like, this might be hard right now, but I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I am working towards a goal. I am being able to take care of my family. Those things bring me joy. So, as long as, again, if you're happy with your body, with yourself, then all the other stressors of being an adult, which are huge and horrible, you can kind of deal with that. And that's why I place such an importance on embodiment and pleasure and intimacy, because if we really, really have those things in our life, I feel like you can kind of cope with anything else that comes your way. But
Mhm.
if those things aren't good, if you're not happy with your body, if you're not happy with your pleasure or your intimacy, like every little thing is going to piss you off and everything's going to be negative, and you're not going to be able to see the positivity in everything. But when you've got those three things kind of sorted out, I'm like able to, like, nothing bothers me. I'm just like, oh, okay, no big deal, no big deal. Like, we'll deal with that. So I think it gives us such good coping skills when we're grounded in these ways.
Mhm.
um for me, I am so grateful, just to be where I'm at right now in life, even though it's not easy. I'm so grateful just to have like the clarity. I think so many people don't know what they're supposed to do, don't know where to go next. And I think just knowing and having a vision and knowing the steps I need to do to get there, I'm like so grateful that I have that, because, like I said, then nothing else really gets to me,
Mhm.
because I know where I'm going and I know what I'm doing. So I'm just so grateful for that understanding. And I really gravitate and draw people that are also in that. And so I'm just kind
Mhm.
of surrounded by people like you that also get it. Like I just feel like you either get it or you don't get it. And I want to
Yeah.
help other people that don't get it to get it.
No, this is
Because
good.
once you get it, it's kind of like everything goes together.
Yes, and I like part of what kind of led me into like I got led into the coaching and it was like what else like what could I like niche it down to, and it was really like I figured out what I was
Mhm.
supposed to do and it made me so happy. So it's like even when I say it, it's more like joy,
Mhm.
but it's just really being at peace
Mhm.
and like having everything flow, because
Mhm.
it's like once you like you said, once you figure out
Yes.
kind of what you're supposed to be doing or what or things you're passionate about and you start gravitating towards that and then you start getting the return, it's like, oh, it's great here. And I try to tell people like I'm not happy every day, like
Mhm.
happy as in just woo.
Right.
Sometimes things come, I don't even know what I'm like. This is just a feeling. I tell my partner all the time, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like off today. It's weird. Like I'm not like unhappy or whatever, but I can't figure out like why I'm in this mood or this funk. But I also know how
Mhm.
to like work through that because, like you said, I've given myself the
Right.
tools to do so. Like I can journal, I can go for a walk, I can try to move my body, and like that ends up being back where I need to be. But when I thought about it, people just ask me like, "Why are you always so happy?" And my question to them was like, "Why aren't you?" And so like we can help you try to like figure that out. Because
Yeah.
we're all supposed to experience joy. There's no reason, no matter the circumstance, that you can't find some joy. But once you learn
Right.
that those things you're going through are just uh, tests or like lessons, like if you can reframe them and just be like, why is this happening right now? How can I change this thing and not be afraid to do it? Happiness is right on the other
Mhm.
side of that, right?
Right. Like once you get it, it's not that hard. And it's not toxic positivity. Like we're not like good vibes only because
Right.
there are bad days. Like there are going to be tough times. But if you have the resources to deal with it, it's so
Mhm.
much better. So it's about having those tools, like you said, and being grounded because then how you look at it is just different. It doesn't make
Right.
things, bad things go away. They're still going to come. And
Yeah.
it's all in how you receive them, how you handle them.
Exactly. Oh my God. It is so great that I got to talk to you today. I'm like, why haven't I talked to Whitney yet? Like, what, when
I've been waiting. I've been waiting my turn.
I think,
I was
when I
waiting my
first started
turn.
the podcast in 2019, you weren't doing this work. So I always say, like, timing is
Mm-mm.
divine. Like, it's supposed to happen the way
Oh,
it's
yeah.
supposed to happen. And I was like,
Absolutely.
a guest, and I'm like, duh, my girl Whitney. Like, we got to get her on the podcast. I'm so happy that you're here. Whitney, tell the listeners how they can find you, your website, your socials. And I'll also include them in the show notes, guys, but I'm going to let Whitney tell you.
Absolutely. I am so honored that you seriously let me be a part of your world because I love you so much. And I really, really appreciate you bringing me on to this because I do love you. And I've been inspired by you for years. You know that. And I've been supporting you because you inspire me constantly to keep going no matter what. So, they can find me, like you said, my Instagram is the spiciest. So that's the hottest spot. It's the real turn on with underscores under each in between each word. So the real turn on, and I'm on Facebook, because people like Facebook. Same thing. They can find me there. Email is great too. The real turn on is you at gmail.com. So lots of different ways. I have a TikTok too. It's just fun. I really hate it, but people like it.
People
And,
like TikTok.
it's kind of fun. There's some silly videos, but a lot of educational stuff is in the TikTok as well because people love to learn.
Mhm.
So there's some fun things on the TikTok. Same thing, the real turn on with underscores in between each word. And we'll be doing another workshop at the end of August, which is so important and beautiful. We're going to start doing them monthly, and we'll have different circles. So if anybody's interested in joining one, I deal a lot with gender, and I really want to be as open and as inclusive as possible. But there are groups that just want to be women. There may be men that just want to be men. There may be non-binary people that just wanted to be them. So I'm open to doing different things because I want everybody to experience pleasure and joy and embodiment, and it's different for everybody. So the workshops will be open to kind of what people are interested in and who wants them, but so far it's been just women in the workshops. But again, I'm totally open to people feel comfortable in those sacred spaces.
All right, guys, you've heard her offerings. Make sure you hit my girl up if you need some coaching so that she can help you out because I know you're going to be in good hands. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Real Talk with Michelle podcast. This is episode number 82. Real Talk with Whitney of The Real Turn On Is You. All right, talk to you later, guys. Bye.